It's one thing to cook, but then again, it's another to whip up something great. Do you think you have what it takes to be behind the scenes of the MasterChef's episode? Well, hold on to your beer, for there are quite a lot of people who once shared that same notion. This was until they came face to face with Joe Bastianich, Gordon Ramsay, and Aarón Sánchez of the MasterChef show. From fiery confrontations to intense pressure cooker challenges, this culinary battleground has seen it all. No one knows if it's the heat of the kitchen or the ever-watchful eyes that make people lose their composure. Whatever the case may be, slackers who failed to surpass their limits did find themselves caught up in the bad sides of the judges. If you are in the kitchen, it is best to turn off the heat, as these top-heated restaurant moments on MasterChef are about to raise the temperature to a level of anxiety, terrifying, and nerve-wracking. Number 1. The souffle play gone wrong. First on the list, we are looking at a dish by Corey. For his dish, the chef made fried chicken with sautéed spinach and a potato souffle with a Parmesan crisp. Now, you should know that the basic ingredients for making a souffle are a base of egg yolks and beaten egg white, most times accompanied with cheese, chocolate, or fruit puree. No one knows where Corey cooked up the idea of a potato souffle, but one thing was certain, the French wouldn't have it, and what's worse, neither would Gordon.
It's a play on the souffle.
There's a golden rule in cooking, you never play with a souffle.
Yes, chef.
You'd think at least his little cooking experiment might have brought forth something worthwhile. Think again. The souffle was tacky, clogged up, and got stuck to the ramekin. The thump-thump sound was all that echoed in the room. The sound didn't just leave the other chefs petrified, it was more than enough of a red flag to say that Corey would be leaving soon. Giving the benefit of the doubt, Gordon went ahead to try the chicken as well. However, he was still disappointed at the result.
I broke the plate, my apologies. The dish was broken way before that.
Talk about a souffle heartbreak. Number 2, Tolly's risotto nightmare. Do you know what people say about the risotto dish being a comfort food at its finest? Well, if you've been lucky enough to step into a 5-star Italian restaurant, you'd agree with that notion. The idea of having creamy rice made from broth is really one of those guilty pleasures that food enthusiasts can't resist. And for Tolly, the dish was a way to not just bring Joe closer to his ancestral home, but to win him over. So, did he? Making the list, you definitely know the answer to that. You see, being on the MasterChef show, Tolly might have gone a little overboard with the ingredients needed to make the dish come true. Instead of the traditional risotto, he made pistachio, cranberry, cherry, and gooseberry risotto. At the side of the dish, he added some grated hazelnuts and walnuts. While Tolly must have been trying really hard to make an impression with the nuts, Joe rightfully got uncomfortable, calling the inclusion of the nuts disgusting and inappropriate. Did he make it through though? Yes, Tolly was lucky. Number 3. Meatloaf Humbo Jumbo. Like several other dishes in this episode, the chefs were making a meatloaf that would wow the judges, and we all know how hard of a job that is, especially with a meatloaf. If we are one to say that crafting a truly exceptional meatloaf is one of those culinary skills that challenges a lot of seasoned chefs all across the world. At the very center, meatloaf seems deceptively simple, looking more like a mixture of ground meat, breadcrumbs, eggs, and seasonings. While it's true that these are the core ingredients, achieving the perfect texture, flavor, and moisture is the tricky part. You'd think that the chefs would at least try to stick to something close to perfection, but definitely not for Stephanie. For her own meatloaf dish, she made an herb lamb meatloaf. It had couscous, pepper ribbons, and a blue cream cheese. Gordon did taste the food, but he spat it out way too quickly to even taste what it was made from. In his words, he narrated how dry and unbalanced the dish was. First off, serving cheese sauce with meatloaf was just untraditional, and then the couscous wasn't meant to be there. It's no surprise the man couldn't eat the food. One would have at least hoped that Stephanie got the hint from Joe while she was cooking, but we guess she was too hell-bent on doing her. In a dish of disappointment, couscous quickly went to oops. You'd think that the meatloaf disaster ended there. Sadly not.
Next up, please, Whitney.
What did she make? She made a Caribbean meatloaf with lemongrass and soy sauce. So, Whitney's meatloaf looked quite tasty, but the judges were quite disappointed in tasting it. Gordon seemed to be the most disappointed. In a wicked display of sarcasm, he rendered an apology.
Into a TV disaster. My apologies.
Chef?
To the meatloaf.
Number 4. A fuming chef spoils the flavor. You know what they say, a meal prepared with love is one that's loved. It isn't really all about the skills, but it's about the emotions put into the cooking. This is one of the secret ingredients that makes a good dish. Sadly, very few people know about this ingredient, and one of them is Christian. You see, from the onset of the MasterChef show, Christian was one of the best chefs in the vicinity. One could almost say he was in a league of his own. However, things changed at some point. What happened? Well, you can say that Christian let his anger seep way too much into the dish. It's true that his lobster was well cooked, but his dish was missing something vital that the judges couldn't really seem to point out. And for that reason, Christian didn't make it to the top 3 of the chefs selected. Instead, the lucky third was Jennifer. Apparently, Christian didn't approve of the judges' decision. He believed that he was way better than Jennifer, and so, as a display of disregard, he picked up his silverware and went on eating his dish. Joe simply wasn't having it. In a bid to call Christian to order, he called him out and told him to drop down his silverware and listen to the judgments. He was mandated to show the same level of respect as the others showed, or he was going to be kicked out for good. Of course, he listened, but then again, his colorful meal had completely gone sour in everyone's mouth. Talk about a waste. Number 5. Teamwork makes a collective nightmare. Yeah, the saying teamwork makes a dream work isn't always applicable to all scenarios, as we have always painted it to be. When you have several narcissists and ego-inflated people on a team with no shred of decency or cooperation, things are bound to fall apart more quickly than you imagine. That's what happened when the judges decided to pair the chefs between the blue and red teams. Apparently, the chefs were supposed to come together and cook something for the guests of a dinner party at the beach. However, you can say the breeze from the beach wasn't enough to cool off the heated tension brewing up among them. While in a way the blue team were able to rally together and make something work, the red team, led by Leslie, was in total chaos. For one, the team wasn't organized, nor was there any form of communication among teammates.
I need beautifully cooked fish. I have 8 coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're short 2 portions. We don't have any more fish.
Do you think that's bad?
You mispronounced my name. And
well, I'm sorry.
You know
I
what? No,
apologize.
that's the thing.
I don't know.
Yep, in what appeared to be a heated verbal fight, Aarón consecutively insulted Leslie and pointed at him as the reason why they'd lose. Leslie, not having it, had to point out her constant display of disrespect and childishness, urging her to grow up. What a nightmare. I definitely wouldn't want to be on that team. Yeah, we've seen our fair share of on-screen ups and downs in the kitchen. Sometimes, let's just say it's more tranquil and peaceful to cook while swaying in your kitchen than to have a knife to your neck. What do you think?